a team member from ECL. Hi, Josh. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you loud and clear. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Josh. We also really honored to have Josh here to be presented in our CBL because, they're really professional players in CBL, and hope that they can bring you more professional ideas on the CBL. So today, still the knockout stage of CBL, and for today's cast, we have ING versus OISU, and the second game will be BOD versus BZZW. Yeah, and 4 teams today, and they are already the top 8 in this time CBL.
Yeah, no, it'd be exciting to see what we have coming out from these teams. Obviously, ING are the returning NetEase champions from the mainland service, so we have a lot to expect from them.
Yeah.
Really, really fun to watch their play style, as it's a little bit different to what we're used to in Asia, as well as obviously the classics that we've seen a lot of the returning players from previous CBL seasons.
Yeah, definitely. And ING, because today is the lower bracket from this CBL. So ING, I believe they have only lost 1 game to CNC. So let's see the ban pick from both 2 sides.
Yeah, and as we can see here, ING, as we've talked about previously, they're choosing to ban out the Hidden City as a lot of the mainland servers are not familiar with them.
Yeah.
And choosing Huring in a mirror match up here. Actually, a really interesting band coming out through the ING is actually the Imperial Spear Guards, as well as the Mammalions and the sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah.
Samachi and Stalwarts as well. Obviously, really heavily prioritizing getting rid of those shield units and allowing themselves to use those grenadiers to really just disrupt all the pikes that we're probably going to be seeing.
Yeah. So let's see the map ban pick first. So for ING, they actually have a bigger number, so they got to choose the map first. And both 2 teams, they choose the map Hilongfield as the attacking map. And for the unit ban pick, they protect the Shenji Grenadians in Hilongfield. And for the OISU, the Japanese team, they chose the Shield Maidens to be remained in the game. Yeah, you know that, Josh, you actually didn't participate in this time's CBL in ECL, right? But
yeah, not this time around.
Yeah, but I believe that you can feel the excitement in the map and the unit ban pick stage already, because your strategy already start before the game start, right?
Yeah, absolutely, especially with this pick and ban phase that we've now introduced this season. It seems like it's a way to almost telegraph what you're trying to do, or what you're trying to approach, or even as a way to throw people off. We've seen on occasions with a few bans being thrown out there just to kind of bait your opponents into thinking what's coming.
Yeah. So for Hilongfield, I believe that ING, they have won the game with NOP in the map Hilongfield. So I'm actually looking forward to their performance.
Yeah, correct. We also saw OSIU also on dueling as well, and we've seen that they're quite fond of their cavalry. I was kind of interested to see that there wasn't actually any cavalry bands coming through for ING, but maybe they've got a game plan ahead just to try to figure out, hey, this is how we're going to handle it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a strange and also interesting thing that a lot of teams from China's mainland, they're quite good at using cavalries. So really looking forward to the performance.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in that cavalry versus cavalry battle.
Yeah. So the game will be start in 5 minutes. Hi guys, welcome to join the stream. We have a lot of new audience joining the stream, so a little notice for you guys. Today is also the knockout stage for the CBL, and today we have like a cast of 4 teams: ING, OISU, BOD, and BZZW. They are already the top 8 in this time CBL, and we have Josh to join today's casting. So really honored to have him here. And the game will be start really soon.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing some good games here out of what have been 2 really good performing teams.
Yeah.
With ING obviously being quite stellar in their games, and OISU putting up a lot of fight in theirs as well.
Yeah, so the first game is already starting, and ING will be the attacking team first.
Yeah.
Let's
As
see
we
the
can see here,
lineup.
actually.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention that on the side of OSIU, we see a lot of cavalry once again.
Yeah.
Seems like they really do favour that as their way of attacking, as well as defending, which is interesting. You don't see this much cav spam usually on a defense, whereas ING have come up with a bit more of a traditional approach, I'd say, using a lot of gold, but quite spread out between different types of units that they bring.
Yeah, and also for OISU, they brought more like 4 tiers cavalries and a lot of infantry, so like most of the teams will do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the game is about to start.
Something else of note here is obviously it's always open to be changed, but we can see here a lot of OSIU are opting into bringing those grape shots in initially.
Yeah.
So it looks like they really are going to try to bunker down on that A point, unless we see obviously a different approach once the battle begins, but that seems to be what they're hinting at.
In the game start, ING, they are attacking the point A and B at the same time.
Yeah, and this is a pretty common strategy we see from a lot of the teams. What is also pretty common actually is to see a switch from the B point over straight onto A, using it as sort of a diversion. We saw that actually from one of our contestants today. BZZW did it quite a bit in their Huling matches. So that's always something to keep in mind when you're on the defender's side.
Yeah.
First blood.
Okay, the gate already been broken, and the wall also already destroyed so far. Really went smoothly for ING. And they got
and I
ready.
really like this. I really like this approach from them, actually opening up both breaches as well, making sure that all their options are available to them.
Yeah.
Means that the defenders really can't relax because one of their flanks is always open, as we see the Shenji pushing through on the left-hand side of B.
Oh, they're already like move quickly and through the gate near the point B.
Mm-hmm.
Share the
And I like
maidens.
this style. Yeah, I like this style coming out of ING here. They're actually moving a lot faster than what we traditionally see them. They usually have quite a cautious, very heavy-handed approach where they force you out. But right now they're going for a lot of momentum, setting up artillery on that high ground.
Yeah. And in previous CBLs, we have seen so many teams, they took a lot of hesitations in attacking, like which points to choose and to attack. And for ING, it seems like it is not even a problem for them. They just quickly all went through and go to the point B.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else to note as well, as we obviously see it over on the A side, is them sending a few people through, not committing anything, but just making sure the defenders can't solely focus on this B push to get it shut down.
Yeah, kind of strategy to really distract your enemy here.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else really important to note as well is that OSIU have invested pretty heavily already in their artillery on this B point. They've used already almost half of their total artillery. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see ING just kind of try to bait and switch, go around them essentially, and go for the A point now from behind if they can use that little cutaway bridge there. Something really important as well as we see a couple of the hussars of OSIU just hiding on those flanks, doing their job, what they should be doing, essentially fishing for the flank when we're going to see that A push coming through, as well as obviously the B side. It's a little bit trickier to use them there as it's very, very heavily congested as they're now pushing in.
Oh, defenders all waved in to the point B, point 8.
A lot of damage being done with those cavalry units there on the B side, as well as an Imperial Pike unit just behind it to follow up with an advance.
Already chaotic and brutal fights of inventories. And for now, seems like the red team are at the upper hand. They successfully just captured the point.
Yeah, it's proving quite tricky for OSIU to use that cav, as we saw there a few units of halberds were already set up, ready to go, and they've shut down those dagger excellences as they've come through. As now we see a quick push over to the A side, which I love here, not letting any kind of slow down, any kind of build up. They're just trying to leverage that advantage they had on B and win both points quickly.
A walk in the park.
So for the defender side, they just quickly retreat from the point A as well, because defending there might just cause them more loss.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised actually if we see them go for more of a base heavy defense here, as we see like C can be pretty costly as that treb comes through and cleans up that unit of blue halberds there on the point. It really is dependent on how you choose to set up. You can either set up to defend the C point specifically, or to try to guard that supply and guard home base, and it seems like they're kind of opting into a bit of both right now.
Yep. Wow, ING, they're just seeking their opportunities down the point C, already building mortars.
Still with a healthy amount of mortars left. They've got 16 in the bank still to be used, so setting up these here as a threat to push them off the C absolutely is a good option.
Oh, a nice hit.
Yeah, as we can see, actually, they're using... This is pretty smart play here from OSIU. They're actually using some farmers up there. Just trying to bait some treb shots, essentially. Save their units for later. I'm assuming that's a double golden cav player, as we saw a couple of them on their team. Just trying to absorb whatever kind of shots they can to waste that artillery.
Yep. Also sending farmers down the stairs to do some extra damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, if any good damage is good damage, right?
Yep.
See here from ING, it's really, really well rehearsed with these artillery placements. They're getting absolutely an enormous amount of damage done. To the point where now you see OSIU are just falling back entirely, which I think is the correct and smarter play to make.
Yeah, and the coastal points and also the supply point, that they are just capturing them now, and the defender seems not really, paying attention to it.
Yeah, I almost wouldn't be surprised to see if this was a bit of a bait, because we can see a lot of that cav hiding up on that home point, ready to charge down those stairs at a moment's notice. So we'll have to wait and see if this is in fact trying to lure them in, bait them in, and then clean them up with the cav, or if it is just a conceding that point and going for home base only.
Our reinforcements are attacking from the harbour.
And actually some great mortars from the defender side here as well, lobbing into that big blob that we saw a big amount of damage being done.
Yeah.
And any kind of damage here is really important because it's a long way back to that supply point. So
Yeah.
really, really valuable shots coming out here from the mortars.
Yeah, really nice position of those mortars built by OISU.
So we see them exchanging fire now, obviously with ING, both teams doing a lot of damage to each other. But like I mentioned, it's a long trip back for ING and it's only just next to them for OSIU, so tends to be the more valuable side for them. Although ING does have the number of artillery advantage here.
Yeah.
God, that's some devastating artillery coming out of ING now. You can see how well rehearsed they are on this map. They're absolutely nailing it, shutting down all the artillery now for the defenders. And it really does seem like their best option would be now to fall back, as they've almost exhausted all the artillery now. Only 2 of them left on the attacker side, well, 1 as I speak, on the attacker side left.
Yep. And for ING, they're really organized and they keep pushing forward to the supply point.
Yeah, this is what we've come to see from ING and expect, really, is these calculated pushes where they kind of whittle you down, saying, hey, we're going to outplace you on artillery. We're going to make sure we leverage any kind of slow advantage we can. We're going to push you out with a slow war of attrition.
Well, after that chamber shot, they just weaved in to the supply point.
That's it, a lot of cav coming in. I like this backflank as well from these Hussars potentially as an option, but it seems like he's opting in for the front charge instead.
Yep. So both 2 sides, sending cavalry striking at each other.
Yeah. On the side of ING, we do have a lot of halberds set up here though, and you can see them doing a lot of effect, but they don't have enough, it turns out, as this cavalry's pulled absolutely through.
Yeah.
See just how many cavalry OSIU really does love to bring. Seems to have worked out for them on this push.
Oh, OISU really nailed this wave of defense. Only 3 alive heroes from the ING side. It's kind of like give them a better advantage in the end of the game.
Yeah. Something really important is the factor that we already have 3 deaths on the defender's side, though. That is going to weigh into this pretty heavily. But to be fair, on the side of the attackers of ING, we've got 11 on 2 deaths already as well, which is pretty concerning for them. They need to tighten up their play and make sure that they don't have any more people falling victim to that really now. I actually like this play from ING, just opting to be aggressive here, push up the stairs and use their trebs that they have left. They have 6 left in the bank. And it's going to make a huge effect here as we see that there's already a discrepancy in units. They have a lot more gold units still left, about 2 units larger between the whole team, which is a big difference maker when it comes to those late game fights.
So ING's cavalry Hussars all charged in to the final base. Oh, soon it just overwhelmed the ground.
Absolutely, we saw Hussars, we also saw Monastics coming through as well, which is an exciting unit to see. We don't get to see that one too often.
Yep.
And obviously followed up by the iconic, like, seasonal unit, I would almost call it, with the Dagger Axes this season, being so relevant, so powerful.
Wow. It's really a daunting charging from the ING side. It's just like organized one wave and really calculated really well and just nailed the game really quickly. So congrats to ING. They won the first round. So let's see the MVP from both sides.
Yep. I might leave the names to you. I'm a little bit out of my depth on that front.
Yeah.
But as we see over here with the MVP of ING, we see quite a hell of a performance. It's got a lot of gold cleanups there, a lot of the shield maidens, halberds, Dagger Axes, Reapers, all the important units you want to see gone is obviously done well in handling them. But something to note is that there is a really even spread out all over ING. A lot of them are contributing very similar amounts to the damage that they're doing. It just shows how well of a uniform team they are.
Yeah. Also, OISU, the Japanese team, they did quite a good job. You see a lot of hero deaths and the contribution to the whole team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially coming in from our top performer over in OSIU, they did a really good job of shutting down a lot of those Varangian guards, which are quite a troublesome unit if you let them set up and actually get what they want to get done. But then we see a ton of blue halberds being killed as well from him, as we see a lot of them coming out of ING, taking that more traditional style of units with the 4-4-3 setup. Yeah. It's a lot more common. Yeah.
So congrats to ING, the previous champion from China's mainland division. They win the first round.
Coming into the second round, I actually don't know what I expect out of OSIU here. Obviously, something needs to be shaken up a little bit. It seems like they kind of fallen into the same trap as we saw them earlier fall into, where they trade a lot of their cavalry. They might win the fight, but they take a lot of losses. It's quite hard to recover after that point.
You know, when defending the supply point on the up highland, they defended OISU. They actually did quite a good job in defending the point. They just overwhelmed the ground with the infantry and the one charge of cavalries. They just nailed down the point. But ING, they just soon, you know, just came back and organized a really nice and calculated charge. So no wonder, like, they are the champion in like previous China's division.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, I was just going to say a little discrepancy to note
sure.
as well is that we saw the style of OSIU is quite, like, they're leaning on their team to hold a lot longer than we saw out of ING. A lot of their cav players are waiting for the perfect opportunity, then charging down eventually to get the maximum amount of damage done. Whereas with ING, it seems like they kind of bog you down with infantry and almost instantaneously try to overwhelm you with their cavalry. It's a lot faster of playstyle. It seems like they're losing less of their troops because of that. And how about you personally? Out of these two teams, is there any kind of units or any kind of thing that you favour that you'd like to see pulled out here? Anything that excites you about the kind of unit choices that could be relevant?
Yeah, I prefer the games that both two teams brought a lot of coverage, because you know the game will be just more brutal, and you can see how both two teams they like operate and use their coverage at the same time. Because it just, I believe that the cavalry, they are like, they actually show more how good you are good at using the units. So, yeah, cavalry, they always bring us a good performance of the CBL.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a really good mark of a great player is the difference between somebody being able to throw their cavalry in, as anybody can do, and be semi-effective. Or those players that you see that are exceptional with their control and can really get punishing charges off, like you're speaking about. It's always fun to see the kind of match up there. Yeah,
and you know, actually in this time CBL, we are kind of sad to see that ECL, they just couldn't make it to the knockout stage, because you know the group you guys seeing are kind of like difficult. They got so many powerful teams, so you guys are just so close to you know get promoted, but yeah. Just kind of upset, but yeah. Do you like have your team members just tell you like which teams they met in this time CBL and what kind of like things they remember?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of them were pretty devastated when they didn't make it out of their group stage, because I know a lot of them have really high expectations and aspirations, as most of us do when we compete in the CBL. Now, a team that obviously had to come up with CNC, right? When you have them in your group, there's kind of no way of avoiding that. That's a pretty daunting task, but I know a lot of them also welcome the opportunity to battle against CNC. I mean, it's the best competition you're going to get, as we've seen year and year and year after again. So we value that kind of practice. We value that kind of experience. We maybe would have preferred to meet them a little bit further down the line, though. That maybe would have been a bit better. But I know the boys are going to be hungry to come back the next season and really compete again.
Yeah, sure. We'll wait you guys in next time CBL, and we're really looking forward to your performance. And actually, you guys have like a huge fan base in the English community. So also our community manager really appreciate you guys. So just welcome back in next time CBL. So, and the second game is about to start soon, and Josh will still be casting with us and present you the best narrative. Yeah,
or at least try my best to
go
with that. Now, something I've instantly spotted here actually is on the side of ING. We've seen it a few times now. It's very uncommon, but we do see it every once in a while. We see a Huntsman unit being brought out, which is a personal favorite of mine. I'm a big dog person in my own life, in personal life, and I love seeing them brought onto the battlefield as well. So that's an exciting unit for me to see there. As we see a ton of purples coming through for ING, as well as also for OSIU on this flip side. A lot less gold cav here.
Yeah. So this time, OISU, they will be the attacker. They brought more infantries and pikemen in this round.
Yeah, and something that's been interesting to see the development of is we've seen Imperial Pike Guards kind of come a little bit more back into the meta, obviously very sparingly. We only see a couple of them every game now, but that was a unit that was basically seen as inferior to most of the other pikes, as it is when it sets up. But you can see those huge game-charging advances. I know Dex, obviously from ECL, also talks about how much he loves that unit, because it really does feel game-changing when you get a big advance off onto the enemies.
Imperial Guards also a lot of our team members like to use Imperial Guards in our daily matchmaking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a very satisfying unit to use. An easy one to use as well, which is a good pairing. Feels good to use, it's easy to execute, You feel good helping your team out. Never does the most damage, but it's not about that. It's about creating opportunities for your team to succeed. We see here, it's a pretty heavy split over towards this A point here, with only 5 of the heroes of OSIU deciding to attack this B point, just slowly whittling away at the doors, and obviously the breach as well is soon to come up. But a huge switch actually coming out here. This is exciting, coming from that A point for OSIU, going straight over to B. It's going to be quick. We just see if it really is quick enough, as we see a lot of cavalry coming through, trying to pull through that breach, obviously.
Yeah.
And ING really aren't responding too fast either, so this might actually be a good opportunity for OSIU to get this B point quickly.
Yeah.
Really does depend on how quickly ING is able to call out, hey, they've just completely swapped sides, let's get over that.
Okay, for now, ING, they start to get to the point B. And it seems like OISU, they just kind of hesitate and do some testing over the point at the gate near the point B.
Yeah, obviously they can't see what we can see, so that makes it a little bit tricky. But I would have loved to see them go straight into that point. It seemed like ING kind of weren't actually prepared for that kind of strategy at all. They only had a few people over here in B, obviously a few important units with those halberds already, and a hussar being tucked away for a flank. But it really did feel like that was a good little opportunity for them there. And what we can see here, though, is that we can see ING is really aggressively taking the fight to them. They know that that gate is not even really down yet. They haven't got any kind of presence there, and they're trying to probe at that breach now, trying to see if they can push through, get any kind of unit staggers through, as they're killing a full medallion unit for free, essentially. And a double fake is coming back around now for the A point now. We can see, obviously, they set up for that B point, hesitated, or at least maybe it was a feign for a hesitation. And now they're trying to pile into this A point, seeing if ING can really keep them on their toes.
For ING, they got really well prepared and already set up so many artilleries around the point 8 and keep using mortars to shoot at the attackers. Really doing some extra damage.
Yeah, a really important factor here is for OSIU to really identify just how much artillery is already in place. You see there's only 3 left, the defending side of ING. They've invested incredibly heavily here.
Yeah.
Maybe that was essentially the intentions of faking out that B point, and if it was a stroke of genius, because now ING are going to be left with a lot less to defend with when it comes to those final points if they can take it there. It's a great trap comes through.
First blood.
Another dangerous looking trap coming through here as well. Gonna have to see if it actually does land. As it absolutely does and connects hugely. It's a big swing for OSIU's favour, as I like this flank around the back as well, making sure they're probing any kind of weaknesses that ING might have.
More reinforcement from the defender side, ING send more coverage to the point A and trying to nail down those attackers back the defenses.
Yep. I really like this approach from OSIU. I'm very pleasantly surprised by this strategy. It's not one that we've seen implemented, I don't think, at all. But them pushing them on both sides here of this A point is really stretching them thin. You can see here they're not able to use a lot of that artillery they've already invested, as the A point is getting captured now. It's up to ING to try to take it back.
A walk in the park.
Now it really is a race for time here, as OSIU really need to get set up. They need to have those halberds, they need to have those Madao set up and protected as well. Because we can see a huge flood of reinforcements coming through for ING from that initial supply point over at B.
Whoa, those two sides did notice each other's first move and keep just charging at each other.
Huge value coming through from those grape shots as they're setting up as well. It's down to 12 artillery for the attackers, 2 for the defenders. But it really does feel like OSIU are investing smart. It's just down to the hero fighting now to see who pulls through.
So I believe the attacker, they are really soon to get over and capture the point A.
What's interesting here is we see ING just opting into fighting this on A. It's not very common. We usually see a pretty quick retreat. But now they're fighting in front of the grape shots of OSIU, and you can see here they're doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
A walk in the park.
There's a little bit of an optimistic trap there, but we'll see if it pays off. As we see a lot of the OSIU members having to regroup now. They are quite a bit down on unit count again. Down to 650 versus the 951.
Yeah, it's kind of
the defender side.
Kind of a large gap, especially when you just have captured 1 point.
A big factor that will take place here is the 10 artillery that's left on the side of the attackers. They're going to have to utilize them well, because like we've mentioned, it's a bit of a discrepancy here in the amount of units left. Actually, really like this approach from ING coming out, knowing that they've got the advantage here, knowing that they've got them
Yeah.
on the run essentially with OSIU. They're setting up on these choke points, trying to actually choke them out of the map, not allowing them to get even close to the B
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Not even let,
Only
let
2
them
minutes
to
left on the
step
clock.
on the point, right?
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely trying to tell them this is our home. You're not welcome.
Oh, nice charge by the attackers at Imperial Guards. Whoa, really quite brutal and chaotic fight here. The game came down to 1 minute and 1.5 minutes, so both two sides they are pretty kind of excited at this moment. Must seize every opportunity they can. And for now, the attackers it seems to be a little bit at the lower hand.
Yeah, a bit of a rough time here, obviously trying to come into the front of that wall of OSIU. Sorry, of ING for OSIU. I would have liked to see them exploit that breach a little bit, set up some artillery there and try to pull their attention. But obviously they opted into the just frontal fight, obviously thinking that was their best option. It seems like it hasn't worked out for them. But there is a cap going on the harbour, so you know, anything is possible if this guy can pull it off somehow. It would be a miracle, but props to him if he can.
A walk in the park. Child's play.
With
Farmers
those
fight.
two heroes,
Yeah.
going down. The farmers are the only ones left to take on the fight.
Yeah, because
Seems like it might.
both two teams they have like know the results of the game, but they're just not willing to give up and just trying to like fight back their like honor or something like that.
That's it. Especially when we see the two essentially farmer units fighting
Yeah.
each other with the serfs fighting those peasant farmers there.
Okay, so congrats to ING. They won the second round as well, so they will be promoted to the next game. So let's see the MVP from those two sides.
Yep.
So
So
MVP?
on the side of OSIU, we see here he did quite a lot of work for himself.
Yeah.
He took out a lot of those ranged carry units. Took out the Houndsman unit that I talked about loving so much. So rip to them, I guess. He took out the Shenji as well. He took out a lot of halberds, a ton
Yeah.
of halberds there. So we saw a lot of them coming through. A
Yeah.
very instrumental unit for both sides in this
Yeah.
affair.
So for the MVP from ING side, it's called Wan Guo Honglei. Got like killed 23 models and a lot of high tier units by them. Really amazing contribution to the whole team.
Yeah, absolutely. We see there a lot of stellar performances. A lot of people over that 700 mark that we're used to seeing, obviously, is the staple of what you're allowed to bring.
Yep.
So whenever you're performing above that, it's usually a good measure, and a lot of them are performing above that metric.
Yep. So also good job by OISU. And the MVP got no death. I got no kills and 3 deaths and got 4 assists. Also amazing job by OISU.
Yeah, I really liked the adaptation there in the second.
Yeah.
Sorry, the second battle when they're on the attack on the offensive. Wasn't what I came to expect from them.
Yeah.
The previous time that we saw them on healing, they kind of tried to brute force their way through with Cav, which resulted in them, I think, winning the fight from memory, but also losing a ton
Yeah.
of their members. And a lot of their unit count. Whereas we didn't really see that here. We saw a different kind of approach for them trying to essentially double fake out an attack on different points, starting off the A point, switching to the B, then back to A again. And obviously exploiting, trying to press ING's numbers a little bit thin by attacking from 2 different angles on that A point as well. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them there,
Yeah.
but a good competition to both teams.
Yep. It's also a good practice opportunity for both two teams. They got the chance to fight really strong teams with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially speaking on the, obviously, the Asia servers, or the Frontier servers as they're known.
Yeah.
It's really exciting to see the new kind of stuff that the China mainland servers are coming out with.
Yep.
So getting any kind of experience playing with them is valuable because it's a
Yeah.
different approach to the game for the most part.
Yeah, so we see a lot of really more intense fights in this time CBL because this time CBL we got like Asia division and also China's mainland division. So all teams from all regions they got a chance to fight with a lot of new members and new professional players and experience the new strategies. Really a good lesson for both two sides.
Yeah. And even speaking on that, we had obviously the European champions with SSR showing up this season as well. And they had great series themselves, obviously falling victim to BOD just recently. But every single game with them has been exciting. They brought brand new units into the meta as well for them. I know that one that Legolas commented on and kind of captured my heart a little bit was Javelin Sergeants. So I was a big fan of seeing that unit. I haven't seen that unit for seasons brought into competitive play, so seeing that brought there was pretty cool. So yeah, I'm really loving seeing all these new kind of servers bring their own unique touch and flair into the competition.
Yes, but it's it's kind of sad that SSR just got knocked out yesterday. So maybe next in the future we will have like more teams from our regions come to join the show again. So I guess we can take a 10 minutes break, and guys, please stay tuned, and we will get back soon. And thank you, Josh. We will start the next stream really quickly.
Too easy. See you then.
See you.